Howdy team, welcome to the channel. Today I have got an awesome interview for you with one of my clients and a good friend of mine, Ian Morgan. He runs a company called MBS Accountants. We spoke for nearly an hour, but don't worry, you haven't got to listen to the full hour, because what I did as I was going through the interview was make sure that I noted down the key times, the most important 4 or 5 parts that you need to listen to that are going to get you the greatest outcome, that are going to help you to achieve more. And my team have condensed that down for you into an awesome video that you're going to absolutely love watching. Make sure that you like the video, that you subscribe to the channel, that you hit me up with any questions or comments down below. And I really hope you enjoy this one. As always, if you want to listen to the full episode, you can do that on the Pro podcast. That is available on Google, it's available on Amazon, it's available on Spotify. Wherever you choose to listen to your podcast, you will find the Pro podcast, green background, my beautiful face on the front cover there for you to see. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Remember, now's the time to become pro. How many times have you in your self-employed journey sat down and actually looked and thought, right, I'm going to go self-employed. I've got this big dream, this big aspiration. I don't like my boss, or I can do it better, or they're not doing this in the right way. I know I'll go self-employed. And you've spent absolutely hours learning how to do the job. You're the greatest accountant. You're the greatest advisor. You're the greatest technician. But actually, how much time have you learned up until that point? Learning business, learning marketing, learning profit and loss. And that's the missing piece of the puzzle to giving you that more time. So in realizing that, what was the big shift that you then made?
Yeah, so actually there was a bit of a breakthrough moment and point, which was we went away on holiday for 2 weeks, came back, a member of staff that had been with us for about 4 months just didn't turn up. And we were just like, well, at that point, right, we're a team of like 4, 5. So to lose one member of staff was huge in terms of the impact. And we just went into mode of just working a lot of hours. Obviously, we come back from holiday anyway. There's normally a few extra bits to catch up on. And then I don't even know the hours I was working, 100 plus probably. And we just took this moment and looked at it and just went, this isn't why we built the company. This is not what we want. Something has to change. And I started by having element just to go, let's just go on a bit of a sort of discovery approach. Let's just go and see what's around. And various books and things that I read. There was one particular one about positioning myself called Take Your Shot by Robin Waite, he's a local business coach.
Robin. Yeah, I know Robin.
So read Robin's book and really nicely positioned and just went, actually, I think Robin can help us here. So when I worked with Robin for 6 months or so, which just got our pricing and things in order. Basically, we just doubled our pricing, but we didn't really change our offering at that point. And that was, obviously, that's, knowing Robin, that's his key things about, make sure your pricing and positioning is right. And we really fixed that and just felt we've got a bit of breathing room. And off the back of that, we then just went, how are we really going to push forward and change? Like, I felt like I've hit the limits of what I'm capable at in terms of a business owner. We joined a mastermind group, the Dan Bradbury mastermind. We were introduced to strategic planning and the book Traction by Gino Wickman.
Yeah. It
suddenly clicked that I got my wife, Sam, who I'd always viewed as like, oh, you're always negative. You're always putting down my ideas. I don't get how you can't see all the positives that we can achieve. And suddenly with their version of the visionary and the integrator, I just went, wow, I can see all these positives. And we literally, from that moment forward, we just made an effort to go, actually, we lead this business together. This isn't me leading it and Sam working in it. We lead together on this united front. And we're going to create an absolute vision of what we want in the next 5 years. And just go, this is the life that we are going to lead.
I think it's so important in your first hire, going back to kind of you and Sam sitting down, even as a small team, find the yin to your yang. Write down and go, as you mentioned, we sound very similar. I'm the ideas person. I'm the creative thinker. I'm the offer. I'm the one who can do the sales and come up with the offers, but I'm absolutely crap at finishing anything I start. I like getting into the nitty gritty and doing, say, 40 to 50%, but I need someone else who can take it the rest of the way. And as soon as you understand that about yourself, and I think that's the key thing has been in my personal and business development, is understanding yourself first and where your key skills are enables you to then go and recruit the person who has the opposing skills, which means you get the results twice as quick. And you said there that coaching from Robin, masterminds with Dan Bradbury, reading Traction, 3 big things that have had a huge impact on your life. I'm intrigued. Where do you think you would be had you not have got into coaching and mentoring or masterminding way back when? Still working 100 hours a week?
No, I think I was on the verge of a breakdown. I think at that point, I think I was literally on the verge of the amount of times that we'd go through the conversation going, let's just throw it. Let's just get rid of it all. We just stop it. I just go and get a job. I just can't.
Yeah, I've spoken about on here, but I want to reiterate it off of the back of what you said there. I have this 3-strike rule when it comes to, getting rid of something, because equally I'm not a quitter. If you get knocked down, you get back up. When you're at your darkest, deepest moments is when you sometimes have your biggest realizations. And when you're at the bottom, the only way is up. But I have this 3-strike rule, and it's like, if I have a pain or a problem, it could be a staffing challenge, it could be a cash flow issue, it could even be a client, it could be anything at all. If I realize it, that's strike number 1, and it gets noted and everything else. If I'm then thinking about it a couple of days later and still spinning it in my head, that means it's taking up time, energy, and thought, which should be put into more creative areas. And then I'll generally utilize at that strike 2 point, speaking to somebody else and just getting it out of my head and voicing it for a sort of not validation, but just thought processes, and then I'll sit on it depending on where I'm at and almost sleep. Sometimes I'll sleep on it and it'll be an immediate next day decision. Or sometimes I might have a conversation if it was a team member and then give it a benefit of a doubt for a week and see where we're at. But I just think that 3 strikes sort of forces you to act, but also forces you not to kind of procrastinate to a degree, because it's so easy to do that, in terms of anything. If I'm sitting there going, oh, that name's come up, or I've thought about joining that mastermind, or, something along those kind of lines, it's just a way I use to make decisions more than anything else, especially big ones. Have you got anything like that?
We always have our Fridays, myself and Sam, as we will allow them to be things that we want to do, but they will be discussions around strategy and where the business is going, or problems and things that we need to look at. Having that discipline to have that time just means that the challenges get aired and discussed. And actually, you said earlier about, the yin to your yang sort of thing. We view things very differently, but we can have those discussions without them being, they don't need to be arguments. We can just agree to disagree and then work out the best way forward.
And I want to pick up on something you said earlier, because I think there's real value, and we don't want to overlook it for anyone who's listening to this, because you said you made a big shift in the business. And there's 3 things that help you to make that big shift. The first one is finding that ideal client and knowing exactly who they are, the problems that they have, how you can solve them, getting inside their head and using language that they would use. The second one is stopping selling features and benefits and actually focus on selling outcomes. People want results. I always talk about, people want the baby. They don't necessarily want the labor pains if they can potentially avoid them. And the third one you said is knowing your numbers, but not on a looking back perspective, but looking at them daily, even weekly, having some kind of cash flow forecasting to be able to drive your business forward and make decisions forward thinking rather than, looking back in hindsight. When you sit down with a business owner, or when a business owner comes to you, or when you're taking on a new client, how do you go through the process of taking them from somebody, for example, who is in that pain of working more and technically earning less, and we'd rather it's the other way around, and sort of giving them the financial knowledge to go, okay, let's relook at this and let's get you working smarter rather than harder, and knowing your numbers moving forward?
So actually, first of all, we deal with the person. Most people start with looking at their business and start going, oh yeah, but if I can build it to this size and these metrics and so on, we're just going to scrap that. What do you want as a person? What are you trying to achieve? How many hours would you like to be working? What's the ideal amount of money you'd like every month? not just here and there where I can just take it because the business has it available. Is there a particular house you want to live in? What are all these goals? So we can just build a picture and go, okay, that's great. That's the destination. Now let's understand where you're at now.
It's really interesting as well, because that's exactly how I start with somebody when I start on a business coaching journey with them. It's like, what do you actually want from life? What do you want your day to look like? If we could wave a magic wand and we got rid of the economy, we got rid of interest rates, we got rid of the government, we got rid of all those things that you can't control. And we said in 12 months' time, my life was going to look like this. What would it look like? What time are you finishing? How many holidays are you having? How much do each of those holidays cost? You know, where are you? What are the 5 key things and tasks and actions that you're responsible for in the business? And then how, as you said, you know, I call it satellite navigation, because the destination doesn't change. We just might hit traffic along the way, and the satellite navigation has to redirect us at some point because something outside of our control gets in that, you know, a roadblock, a traffic jam, whatever it might well be. And it's interesting because as a business coach and, you know, an entrepreneur and someone who helps people go from 6 to 7 figures, etc., particularly in the advisor space, you know, we sit down with that kind of strategic plan, and then we move into how can we help you generate more leads, right? How do you now convert those leads and increase those sales? Okay, how do we sit down? And you probably come in at the strategy point, you know, of right, let's get to know the numbers. What's your sales today and what's your predicted forecasting for the next 90 days? And how do we create a 90-day plan? And if you haven't read the 12-week year, I massively recommend that as a book to anybody. And then, okay, now we've got a bit of a plan for the next 90 days and we know roughly what the financials are. How can we improve the systems and the automation and the tech? And then who do we need as a team, you know, to ultimately build that out? I did a Facebook post about this the other day, funnily enough. And it's like, when I built a business that I hated for 10 years in 2016, you know, I'd gone from a £750,000 business to me and my PA and basically zero income because I started again. But I had a niche, I had an ideal client, I knew their problems. It stemmed from my own personal experience, but I equally had a life built on a 750 grand a year business. So I had a reason to work hard because we didn't want to lose our house, our cars, our lifestyle, and everything else. But here's the thing, because I knew my destination was always lifestyle and I knew that was the priority, I realized the other day, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, my turnover pretty much stayed the same. But in that time, I ended up working a 4-day week. My kids had got older, so I ended up finishing at 5 o'clock. I wrote an Amazon best-selling book. I was having 4 holidays a year. So yes, my turnover could have increased, but lifestyle was my priority. And here's the really funny thing. When I looked at the spreadsheet that I have, because yes, I'm a spreadsheet geek and I love them too. And it's like, numbers don't lie, people do. So it's like, when I looked at the spreadsheet, 2020, all of a sudden, my turnover increased 100%. And why was that? Because for 4 years, I'd been buying time, but I'd been getting educated. And also I'd been investing, you know, rather than taking a higher salary, I'd been investing that excess cash into, you know, another person and into more marketing. So I'd redistributed the expenses much wiser. But all of a sudden, as a result of that, the leads went up. Then the team started to grow. So in 2020, we had 100% growth. And then in 21, 22, and we're predicted 23, it's been 50% year on year. Which when you look at it, you kind of sit there and go, you know, that's absolutely crazy. And the milestones was 2017, I want to stop advising. You know, that was the destination. I did that in 2019. 2019, it was like, right, how do I make the business run without me? And that happened at the beginning of 2022, slightly quicker than I imagined, because I lost my mum passed away and was ill for 4 months. But the business then could typically run very, very quickly without me. And I think it's, from everything that you've said, the strategic plan has to be around, yes, your life, then it has to be around the clients, then it has to be 100% around the financials. And that's what really brings it all together to, you know, to realize that satellite navigation could be, the destination could be an hour. But actually, there's nothing wrong if it's, you know, 2, 3 or 4 hours, i.e. it could be a year or it could be 2, 3 or 4 years. The fact of the matter is you'll still get to the destination if you focus and if you get educated and and take all the advice that Ian's given today, really.